Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to our panel. My name is Kelley Lynn. I'm the label manager at Panther, an independent record label based in New York. I think we're all based in New York, so we are all friends, and so it's very nice to come together in a new place like this. I'm going to go ahead and introduce everyone. We'll go through some questions I prepared, and then we'll save the last 10 or so minutes for questions from the audience in case anyone wants to bring anything up. Okay, let's start. José, I'll start with you. José Chayet, raised in San Diego with roots in Mexico City, grew up alongside co-founder Dan. And you guys have known each other for a really long time, musician and composer. You studied cognitive science and art history before working at Facebook and then co-founding Untitled. That's it. Okay, right. Dan Lilienthal, also born in Mexico City, raised in San Diego. Dan watched his older brother play in bands and developed a passion for music that stayed with him for a really long time. After finishing university, co-founded Untitled with José, a platform designed, we'll talk about what Untitled is. And together you guys promote independent music with a focus on the Latin American scene. Frías is director of A&R at Secretly Group, an independent label group in the US. Lots of experience in promoting artists, boosting underrepresented scenes, and has been a key voice for the Latinx community. After moving from Lima to LA in 2012, she worked for 6 years at Cobalt Music Group in sync, publishing, and A&R, and right now lives in New York. You want to say hi?
And I also studied cognitive science. And I also studied cognitive science, actually.
Have we talked about that?
I don't think we have.
Cognitive science.
Cognitive science, yeah.
Music.
Look at us now. Okay, so the panel title is called Post-Streaming, Why Artists and Labels Are Going Direct. Before today, we kind of had a pre-chat about everything, and we were like, wait, direct actually means a million things. So, but you know, it can be like in real life events, it can be fan first tickets, it can be like access to someone's Substack or Patreon, buying music on Bandcamp or Untitled or Nina. But before we open that Pandora's box, I just wanted to kind of ask about the state of the music industry and why you think going direct is even needed or necessary or interesting and attractive.
I think like I can only really speak as like a fan of music. Like I think as a fan of musicians and just my favorite artists, like the thing that brings me in the most is like their story and like their universe. Mm-hmm. I think that it's gotten harder and harder to kind of own that story from start to finish if you're putting it out through many layers that kind of remove you between the fan listening and you putting it out. So I think like artists are kind of trying to take ownership over their story to put that high fidelity universe in the hands of in the hands of fans, and fans can kind of take a look at that music the way that I think we all used to fall in love with artists back in the day before all these different systems were sort of in between.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, you know, there's so much that needs work and so much that, you know, the internet has become like a blessing and a crux, but I think it's important to remember that at the end of the day, music is like the one art form that has that direct component of like fan to artist, like performing live. Like an artist could be putting on an incredible show, but if the fans are like not engaging, you can, you know, it becomes part of it. So yeah, I just think about, I think a lot of direct also goes back to direct music in the way that community makes such a big part of the industry. I mean, I have so many friends who work in fashion and art and other art forms, and they're like, nothing compares to your world. Like, I don't know, I live and breathe this as an A&R. I'm like at there's no separation really, and I love it that way because it's the most important thing for me. But yeah, community is at the center of so much of what we do, and I think that's so invaluable, and that's the most special part of it,
Yeah, I think in general, this idea of going direct does feel like a crazy buzzword right now because, yeah, I don't even know what that means, to be honest. But, if I see it just through my own lens, I think that, something that has been the case with music for a very long time is that it requires a lot of middlemen to tell your story, as José was saying. At the end of the day, the best artists, the artists that inspire all of us the most, are the ones who tell the best stories and bring us into their universe. And for a very long time, because technology didn't allow it yet, artists needed a lot of middlemen to get that story out. They needed a label, they needed promoters, they needed all these different people to tell that story. And now with technology and newer technology, now people could tell that story directly and do whatever they want directly with their fans. Which, yes, music fans ourselves, I think that just leads to a better way to consume music, a better way to get to know your favorite artists, a better way to, just get inspired by the people who are making music.
But it's kind of weird because that technology kind of has added more noise to the picture.
Yeah.
It's almost as if like with the previous days, even though maybe like things were more locked in and like you have to rely on certain external people to distribute your music because there wasn't that much access, technology, platforms.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
There wasn't as many layers. And now with technology, there's like a double-edged sword of like many layers between the fan and the artist, and the opportunity to go direct or, do whatever you want to do. But, you got to kind of cut through that noise in a crazy way these days that didn't really exist.
Yeah.
There's so much volume, and I think, at Secretly, for example, something that we really take pride on, is 250 of us worldwide. We're a US-led, global, independent conglomerate, completely independent. But even though we've grown a lot in terms of staff and expertise, we only put out 30 frontline releases a year across our 4 labels, which, if anything, if like to the max, like usually we put out less of those. And so we sign very few things, and we really believe in doing things thoroughly. And I think direct can also mean authenticity. So maybe, I don't know, we really believe in like keeping that authenticity in terms of like what an artist wants to say. So a lot of our wins as a label, again, we've stayed true to very, very few select releases a year, has been because we really dive into what an artist wants to say, and we put in so much time in making sure that the way we talk about a record, the way we talk about an artist is very aligned, both internally at the company and externally. And I think that's more important than ever to be able to cut through the noise.
Authenticity could be like this going direct thing is like a meme now. Like we're like, what is going direct? But like honestly, like just like it's like you could literally be a label asleep at the wheel, just like phoning in the release. Like it's like, okay, like we know the playbook. It's like we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Like it's like kind of like the rite of passage for an artist, depending if it's their first album, their second album, they already have fans, whatever, this and that, brand deals, and like literally just being mindful and like actually like caring about every detail of like who the artist is, what the story behind what they're making is, like them being super involved and super front and center in how things are getting planned is in a way
more important than ever.
Yeah, and like I think even if you're not going direct, like you're not like selling the music like,
yourself, like
it's not that. It's like you're just like completely mindful and focused on every detail of how your music gets to your fans.
Yeah.
And I think one of the coolest things that is happening today is that back in the day, you basically, in order to earn the right to go direct or tell the story or be in control of the narrative, you had to be a megastar. Like the Beatles had to become massive for them to eventually get their own label, and be able to like control their own narrative and start their like Beatles magazine and do things however they wanted to.
Yeah.
Where nowadays, like you can be an artist just starting out and you're completely in control of how your image is, created, what story you're telling, and obviously it changes a bit what the involvement of the label is, which obviously I think you two
And you can
speak
get
a lot
signed
about
off
that.
one song in your discography. You can
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. I mean, there's actually an artist right now called Two Piece Nugget. I don't know if you've heard of them. That we found about them this week, that they're only releasing music right now through Untitled, like through Untitled paid projects. They have nothing on streaming services, and A&Rs are starting to hit us up, being like, "How do I get access to them? Like, how do I meet them?" It's very cool.
I love this example that came up when we talked about Timothée Chalamet during the Marty Supreme campaign, and how everyone was like, you never see movie stars in their marketing campaigns anymore. I feel like artists have to go that extra step now, and like there's more things you have to do, and there's fewer people who are willing to go.
I think that's also like
mile.
part of, again, like the pendulum swinging because of technology, and just, I mean, it becomes so desensitized. Like we just had that with Phoebe Bridgers, who we work with, who decided to play all these underplay shows that she announced day of for free. She's playing MSG. She did $1 tickets, with the idea of like, again, like re-engaging with those diehard fans in a different way. Like she could be, you know, I don't know. She doesn't need to do those, and especially playing smaller shows at like, you know, B-side markets maybe that she usually doesn't go to. Like the fact that artists want to engage, I think speaks a lot to like, yeah, again, like technology being a blessing and a crux. But I do think with so much happening, artists want to, you know, have a hand and have a real connection with their fans.
I find it also interesting that, like, we talk a lot about like authenticity and getting to know the artist, and I guess going direct about who you are. That at the same time, you have all these like anonymous artists from the UK popping up. That you don't really know who they are, and you'll never know who they are. And at the same time, even though you don't know who they are, you still feel very connected to them.
Yeah, we have a rapper from London called John, and he's technically faceless, but then he gets recognized on the street, and I'm like, how did you know what he looked like?
It's very common in the UK for some reason to not show your face.
Before we move forward, because I realized I didn't do this, can you both give a little spiel about like what Untitled is, so that everyone knows what the product is?
Who here uses Untitled? All right, we have like 7 hands raised. All right, it's better than Helsinki music. We had like 2, so thank you. José and I, we started Untitled 6 years ago, and we're essentially building the operating system for music, a one-stop shop for everything related to music. We started by building the best place for artists and producers to store, listen, share, and organize their unreleased music. You can think about it like a 10 times better Dropbox specifically built for music. That's where we started. We've grown a lot since we launched almost 3 years ago. And now we're really focused on adding more creation tools. So we're building a DAW on the Mac. We have a whole edit suite on our iOS app. And then on the other end, we're also adding more distribution tools. So talking about going direct, we have a feature where you could actually sell your music directly on Untitled, kind of like how you would on Bandcamp. But we take no fee on the artist side. We only take a 5% fee on the fan side, which we think obviously makes it much more exciting for the artist to use this tool.
Yeah, and you can do like vinyl pressings direct from Untitled, which I think is cool.
And soon you'll be able to essentially set up a pre-order, so that as an artist, instead of having to order the vinyl and front the money yourself, like fans will be able to like prepay for a vinyl order, and then you'll be able to send it to the vinyl plant and get like hi-fi pressing with only 50 fans buying, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, even for labels like yourselves, like maybe sometimes you don't want to front run all these like vinyl sales. You can pre-order them, which is awesome.
I think what's cool about Untitled too, as a non-Untitled employee, but someone that uses it a ton, I mean, at this point we're longtime friends, but before meeting you guys, I think what's like so much of the promotion of the app has been artists using the app and sending you an Untitled link, and I think that's very connected to direct. Just like, I mean, direct can also mean accessibility, and in terms of up-and-coming artists, and I think that's where you guys have really shined as a platform. Yeah,
we help artists realize their music without it needing to like be on a streaming service. So like you can send it to True Panther, to Secretly, without it necessarily feeling like it's out. But as an A&R, as a manager, as a friend or whatever, you can really imagine the album being out. Like it feels like it's done. It feels like it has weight to it, without the pressure of it actually being out. And then that's where, Joey Badass on the Breakfast Club said that he felt like his album went platinum with his community because the album on Untitled was getting so many streams from like his friends and family, and like that to us, that's like literally what we built it for. So hearing things like that from bigger artists it shows us that we're like the mission that we're on is we're kind of getting closer and closer.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's really cool, I think, it's not necessarily about going direct, but it's about how kind of things are shifting. Where I think in the past, because artists weren't really in control of their narrative, they had to really focus on like one artist project, right? Like their one thing. And now you're starting to see artists who have a lot of different ideas, who are very genreless, have a lot of different artist projects, right? Like we were yesterday with this artist from Madrid, Nusar 3000, and he was telling us how he has like another artist project that he's gonna make. He has like 5 albums that he hasn't released. And for us, when we started the company, one of the reasons, out of many reasons, that the company's called the Untitled is because we believe that you shouldn't put yourself, in a box, right? And if you're making country music today, maybe you want to make rock music tomorrow, and that might mean you have 2 different artist projects. Like there is no putting yourself in a box. And now with the state of the music industry, you can now have multiple artist projects. You can have 5 different artist projects.
Which is a blessing and a
Nurturing
curse.
Yeah,
Like-
because you put less focus in each.
Yeah, we're, there's, if you send someone 5 albums, like, are they gonna, like Drake just put out 3 albums, I can't, I haven't listened to all of them.
I have listened to all of them, but yeah.
All of them?
Yeah, all
Front to back?
Front to back.
What was your favorite?
Maid of Honor.
What's your favorite song off Maid of Honor?
Actually, funnily enough, like because there's so many albums, I've been listening to like a playlist. And
Yeah,
so,
you don't
like,
even
passive-
remember,
I don't remember
the
the
names
songs.
of the songs.
I could very easily be listening to songs that he released like 6 years ago, and
Well, that's what I told
I
you.
just don't remember.
I like briefly skimmed through the 3 albums, and then I went back to Honestly Nevermind from 4 years ago, and I was like, this feels like he just released that one
Yeah.
too. I haven't
Yeah.
listened to that one that much, so it's like, I think like and that's why Untitled is a fitting. It fits into the current landscape, is because there is so much music being made. People can make songs in 30 minutes, make 5 songs a day, 10 songs a day. It's like, is this gonna be lost on a hard drive, or is this gonna be somewhere where I can still listen to it, it can still have a place, but it doesn't have to pollute my catalog? If we think that Drake dropping 3 albums is too much, like imagine how much he hasn't dropped. He probably
Totally.
he's very prolific. So, but it's something that Dan and I talk about a lot because we're huge music fans, and sometimes it hurts us to see, like I don't know, like we talk about like side projects or side quests or like artists doing this and that, and like us being such big fans that we want an album to cut through and we want to like develop a deeper, like the MJ Lenderman album. Like I haven't heard any new music from him, but like I still go back to that even though it's been almost 2 years, and I'm ready for the next thing. Rusowski, like I'm so excited for a new album. Like how much music has he probably
Yeah,
made
I mean, it's like,
since
are
the
you a
last one?
factory or are you a craftsman? And if like you're making a lot of music, it could obviously come off as like a factory of music.
And there's no answer.
No, there isn't.
There
No,
is
it isn't.
literally no answer.
Yeah.
Drake dropping 3 albums is awesome. Like it's super sick. It's just there is no answer.
It's hard. It's just, I mean, if the
very
more music you make, I mean, it's just our attention spans. Because right now you're not just competing with other music. You're competing with podcasts on YouTube. You're competing with audiobooks. You're competing with anything that people can listen to. So it is much harder to just break through the noise.
And goes back to going direct. Because if seriously, like if the story doesn't matter, like if you don't have that intentionality with why you're putting out music, and sometimes like the intentionality being no intentionality could actually work. Like it's like I'm just gonna put out 60 songs and like we'll see what happens. Like I think the
When did that work? When has that?
I think the PJ Harvey thing kind of worked.
Did it?
Like the demos.
But that was
B-sides.
was that a while ago?
I don't know, did you guys listen to that? It's like B-sides and rarities. It's like 100 songs.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point in an artist's career, I think you have like hungry fans wanting to hear
Yes,
you
yes,
decide.
yes.
So I think it's also
Yes.
like a different kind of context,
Yes.
like
There's no one size fits all.
If
Yeah.
Frank, like Frank
For sure.
fans are literally been waiting every day for a Frank album.
Yeah, well, we can't talk about Drake without talking about streaming. So, can we talk a little bit about how like the streaming model, the Spotify model, has kind of been failing artists? I think more and more each day. I'm curious, like how labels, how your time at AWOL and Secretly has kind of grown throughout Spotify's growth and over the years with streaming.
It's interesting because I was at AWOL, like at the peak of streaming, where like if you were an artist and you got New Music Friday, like you were just like on a like Monday came around and like your career was in a different place. I mean, I think it's just important to think about it holistically. Like streaming is just a streaming platform like Spotify is just another medium, but I think it's important to think about it more holistically than ever when you're putting out music. I mean, like we pride ourselves in being incredibly holistic, whether it's again like in the process of creating the record and contributing to, you know, our thoughts and ideas, but also like, you know, there's many times where we get involved on like live opportunities or just, you know, making sure that I think that's the thing. It's like you can go direct as an artist and not. It's beautiful that as an artist you can be completely independent and put your music out by yourself and do everything yourself. At the same time, like having a team of people that understand your vision and that you feel like you can trust them talking about your project is so valuable so that you can focus on making art. And I think, you know, that's why labels like Secretly and like Panther are thriving in a time where a lot of indies aren't, or labels in general aren't, you know, because we spend a lot of time making sure that we can deconstruct those narratives and speak about our artist projects to our best of our capabilities, and also think about it holistically in terms of growth. You know, we pride ourselves in giving artists the time to really grow and develop. I think there's a lot of like, you know, at majors and other like bigger conglomerates, like signing everything and seeing what sticks, and it's like we're kind of like counteractive to that and like signing very few things and like making sure that we give it our best shot and like making every win like as thorough as possible so that we can like, I don't know, just like really set up record 1 to get record 2 to the best. You know, it's just time is so important. Like allotting artists the time to grow, to develop properly. Artist development is just like such a lost art form, and I mean, I'm just so proud to be I've been at Secretly for 4 years. I feel so proud to work for a company that really, you know, really focuses on true artist development.
I think that's something that José and I talk a lot about, is that, you know, I think in the early days of Untitled, this was like 6 years ago, and even before that, we would talk a lot about like, oh, what does it look like for an artist to like finance themselves and like manage themselves and like do it all themselves. And over the last 6 years, you know, we've honestly like kind of lost the kind of the belief in that like romantic vision, you know, the romantic idea that like, oh, artists can do it all themselves. The thing we've realized the most, even with us building Untitled, is just how important a team is, you know, and it's almost like rarer to find an amazing team or an amazing manager or an amazing like label A&R than it is to find like an amazing artist. It might be harder to find that. Like that might, you know, that might sound weird, but it feels like that. And all the best artists, all the artists that inspire us the most, like you look at them and you're like, wow, they've had an amazing team this whole time. This team that's been with them the whole time. Talking about artist development, this team that's been with them for years, and like they've been able to just like compound and craft a narrative for many, many years. And I think that's something that goes very understated, and I think it's very something that like people like to talk a lot about, especially with buzzwords of like doing it all yourself and this and that, but a team is so important.
Yeah, I think
So
right now,
important.
like a team of people can cut through the noise faster and more efficiently. And I feel like, for example, Secretly with Dead Oceans and Jaguar, it's like that kind of combined. I always talk about how like a cosign is still very important nowadays. You know, like a photo online of like two famous people can do so much. And
A cosign.
A cosign.
Yeah.
Cosign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that word is now bleeding into tech. Like all the tech people love using that word. So
All right, I take it back then.
You know, for your future knowledge.
I'm curious how I mean, just
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask about Kelley.
yeah, go for it.
I think like the Spotify thing probably like you probably as like a
We just signed an artist called Quiet Light. Her album came out
Great artist.
a few months ago, and it was editorially a huge success. And
part
we
doctor, part
finished medical school.
amazing artist.
Dr. Light.
Produces everything herself, and the people at Spotify loved it. She got a billboard from Spotify, a billboard from YouTube.
Right, those wins are coming, but the results
Yes.
are different.
Yes,
Like you're
and
not
we,
seeing.
We always joke like, if we had this 10 years ago,
The math isn't
we'd be
mathing.
rich. Can
Yeah.
I swear we'd be rich? But I mean, it's so nice to have successes like that. But it's like, oh, what a win! We kind of just have to like keep moving forward. It's not enough means for like a huge celebration anymore, I guess.
And with Quiet Light, it also feels like there is grassroots people in New York, people in LA,
Yeah.
talking about her,
Yeah.
like getting very excited, going to shows. So yeah, maybe it's just not as microwave, like overnight success as
Yeah, yeah.
maybe.
I'm curious, like, as two label people, is there a world that you see, because you're seeing this stuff happening with streaming, where like, oh, you're getting playlisted, you're getting all the love, but you're not really making that much money from it? Is there a world where you guys stop releasing things on streaming and start like actually like selling your music on Bandcamp, on Untitled?
I mean, True Panther
Whatever it
sells
is.
all of its music.
Is that an actual serious revenue stream?
On Untitled?
On
No,
Bandcamp,
or
yeah.
just across all
Yeah.
the stuff that you've done.
We do sell everything on Bandcamp. We were uploading stuff on Nina.
Yeah.
We've tried to upload on Untitled, but y'all were messing with our account. No, just kidding. We were trying to get access to like a
Yeah.
Oh, 'cause
different
we-
account.
There's a whole conversation.
Yeah.
There's a technical issue.
Yeah.
But we have been trying to upload on Untitled.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. Let's do a customer support
Yeah,
live right
yeah.
now.
I didn't know you were asking
Trouble-
me questions.
Yes,
I
we
didn't know
love-
that's
No,
how
we,
this
we
works.
ask you questions.
We're going direct.
We're going direct to the customer. right?
We love asking questions.
I forgot what the question was. It was we
Like,
were
is
so-
there a
yeah,
world where you like
we'll-
completely stop putting things on streaming services?
Has Bandcamp ever made you more money than the Spotify release?
I don't know about the numbers exactly, but like OK Lou, for example,
Yeah.
huge boom on Bandcamp,
Yeah.
huge audience there. Model Actress, sold so much vinyl on Bandcamp. I think it went as viral as
Vinyl,
it could
though.
have been. Vinyl,
Not
vinyl,
digital.
but also
Yeah.
digital.
Yeah.
Because I think people are remixing and playing it at clubs and stuff. I think
Yes.
club music,
Yeah.
especially, does really well on those kind of platforms.
But someone like a Quiet Light, for example, like they needed streaming almost for like marketing purposes,
Yeah.
right? Like, because the thing that streaming gives you is just a lot of reach, right? Hundreds of millions of
Yeah.
people listening to it, people looking at the playlist, and now that she's actually developing an audience, maybe for the next album, maybe for the album after that, once they have an audience already, then they could sell music and actually that becoming a serious revenue stream.
Yeah, I think the general consensus between artists is like we would love to stop streaming, but
Yeah.
we just can't.
I think it would be like limiting on new artists to finding. It's still, like Spotify Radio, for example. Like, like as an A&R, it's funny because like I find music through other people's play, like through just like I spend so much time on Spotify trying to figure out why the personalized algorithm actually seeds me things that I listen to already, but B, like how can I think as far as the radio side, like that's really served me well in terms of like showing me things. Like I don't know. I think not cutting yourself from seeing it as a pillar, maybe not seeing it as like your focus. And we're both lucky to work for labels that really focus on albums. Like like a lot of our wins with our artists have been because when you think about one of these artists, you think about this album and the effect it had on its career. I think unfortunately we live in a world where a lot of labels don't prioritize album campaigns, but rather you see that one song that went viral, and then the rest of the songs not really have the same like reach or listen. But anyways, I think it's important to see it as one of the pillars rather than like a focus.
Yeah, and like financially, one thing we say a lot internally is like we're all just fighting for pennies. Artists are making so little from streaming, like we'll go the extra mile for like $1 elsewhere, and that's why platforms like Untitled and Bandcamp are in the picture, because you need everything. You can't just really pick and choose nowadays as much, or a lot of people can't afford to.
Yeah.
Well, I lost my train of thought because you asked me a question.
We can ask you more questions.
I'm actually curious. Okay, could you guys share some examples about how, going back to direct, can y'all share some examples? Maybe like, I know you guys have an office in New York and you do a bunch of in-person events, secretly, events team and department. So can you give us some examples aside from the Phoebe Bridgers one of how you guys are reaching fans?
I work with Wednesday, the band, and Carly. For a long, she's kind of been offline for a bit. She goes in and out of using her Instagram, but she's put in all her like energy into her Tumblr, which she uses as a vlog, as well as she makes these little snippets on YouTube for each month, where she basically like makes a compilation of like 5-second videos of different moments, and it's so personal, and it's also just so connected to the way their music is just so, like, it's like a quilt. It's so worn in. It's so personal. And I think that's where, like, a lot of her writing, too, is so personal and so just, like, potent. And I think that, like, it's been a natural place for fans to really live and breathe the project. And again, like, she's not on Instagram posting every day, but then she'll, like, post this beautiful blog post about her months in Australia touring. And, it really cuts through the noise and makes people listen and want to read and engage with her in a different way and in a more in-depth way, which has been
Behind
massive.
the scenes, yeah.
Yeah.
One really cool one that just happened with Untitled, the artist Luke Man, who's actually playing at the festival. He just released his most recent album, SD3. Very cool album, definitely check it out. But something that he felt with releasing it on streaming services is that he couldn't release it the way that he wanted it to, because he's a DJ, he does a lot of electronic music, so he originally envisioned the album as like one mix, right, with like transitions and everything, and obviously on Spotify he wasn't able to do that, so he actually released it on Untitled as a paid project, so he sold it to his fans, and it was just one mega mix, so the whole album has one mix, and so it included a lot of transitions that you wouldn't be able to listen to on Spotify, and it included some unreleased tracks. And honestly, I've been listening to it a lot, and it's really cool to listen to it in that format. And it just shows you that Luke Man had an idea that he couldn't really encapsulate with Spotify, and with a platform like Untitled, he was able to go direct and tell the story that he wanted to with his latest album.
This rapper named Lancey from the UK.
Lancey Foe.
Lancey Foe, yeah.
Full name.
He, I guess, was independent and was tired of releasing on Spotify. And he decided to release his album exclusively on Untitled. We found out about it just like fans would on Instagram. And he ended up selling, I think, over 3,500 units, probably at close to 4,000 now, right?
Yeah.
Which, if he wanted to, we offered him to report to Luminate so that he could be in the running to chart. And if we would have done that reporting, he didn't want to do it because he was on this like kind of like anti-industry, anti-charting, like numbers kind of thing. That was like his whole campaign. But if he did, opt into that, he would have charted on Billboard just by selling the album directly on Untitled. He made almost $40,000. So yeah, I mean, that was really cool to see. He did a pop-up at our office, used the studio. I think that's a big thing with us. Like, we have our own building in Williamsburg. It's 8,000 square feet of indoor space, 5,000 square feet of outdoor space, lots of performance spaces, world-class studio. We want to build this like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory of music, where people can come in. And Luke Man actually finished his mega mix in our studio.
And he posted the video.
We co-hosted his listening party in New York, which was what he played the mix that was going to go on Untitled, not the one that he released on Spotify. So we kind of just want artists to be able to, leverage Untitled as like a vessel to put out their ideas however they want, whether it's with the physical space, with the paid projects, with the free stuff. Like, there is no blueprint of like how to go direct or like how to release your music, and I guess that's why it's called Untitled. And there's many meanings to the word Untitled. It actually, the deepest meaning is rooted in conceptual art, but we can talk about that another day because Lau studied cognitive science, not art history, so we can't be doing the panel on that, and then Kelley's gonna get mad that we go off script and all these things. One day we'll come back to Primavera.
Maybe a Primavera.
But yeah, I think with the generally high level, it's like the platform, the digital platform for Untitled is going to be a one-stop shop for everything an artist needs. Then our physical space in Williamsburg is the one-stop shop for anything an artist needs to like materialize their story physically. And so I know that True Panther just did like OK Lou, part of like her rollout and part of her last show in New York, she did a pop-up in Manhattan, and we actually just leased the retail floor of our building. So you can imagine a world where an artist like OK Lou does a pop-up in the retail floor where she's selling some exclusive merch, maybe exclusive items. Then that naturally goes to maybe her going to the studio after, maybe making something, doing something, and then a show on the rooftop. So doing it like all in one place, you know, vertically integrated, is something that
And
we're
then
really
maybe
excited
we
about.
answer the technical support questions in time.
Yeah.
So that
But
she
they
can
could
actually
actually sell it.
sell the music.
I mean, that's something that really inspired us about the Beatles Get Back documentary. It's just something that we always dreamed of with.
You can't mention the
their
Beatles
studio.
to Kelley.
I know Kelley keeps
That's
eyeing me every time I say the Beatles. But the Beatles in the Get Back documentary basically made an album, right, and then immediately went on the rooftop to perform it. Everyone probably knows that iconic image of them on the rooftop, and that was literally all just them controlling their own narrative. They didn't have a label telling them what to do.
Yeah. Okay. I think last question. We're kind of speaking from a lot of industry experience and perspectives. Now I'd love some examples as a fan, like as a music fan, of moments you've felt like you've gone direct, or maybe a different way of phrasing it is you've interacted or engaged with an artist or music that felt like there was no middleman.
And by the way, Dan and I have zero industry experience. Like we've literally never worked.
We're
in the music.
outsiders.
Well,
But
even still.
I think one experience that immediately comes to mind, a few years ago, when Dijon had released Absolutely, he was about to go on tour with Bon Iver, and like a day or two before he was going to go on tour, he posted on his IG saying that he's doing a rehearsal at TG's, the bar in LA. And José and I were in LA, and obviously we were huge fans of Absolutely. And because he posted that on his IG, we were able to go. The line was huge. It was so hard to get in. We had to sneak in with one of the kids from Stranger Things, because obviously we didn't know anyone, because we're not industry people. And we snuck in, and it was honestly, to this day, one of the best performances I've ever seen.
Talk down.
Yeah, we recorded it on Untitled, the old Untitled, the version that never came out, and it still sounds amazing. So, you know, Dijon was able to like literally just post that immediately out of his own inspiration because he could go direct, and it was, as a fan, an amazing experience.
I have two. I have one that was from when I was an intern before I like properly worked in the music industry, but it like really shaped me. I'm trying to think, it was like probably like 2016. Arcade Fire had played at Coachella, and then they were doing like a secret like underplay. I was living in LA at the time, and they were doing this basically competition where you had to send a picture that represented Reflector, which is the album that they had put out that year. And so I submitted my photo and I won. And it was just like this crazy thing because it wasn't just like a raffle. It was like I sent a picture that I took and I won, you know? And then I got to go to this underplay, and it was such a special experience. And I guess most recently, being able to go to the Bad Bunny residency, like I just like put my name in the, you know, in like the, I'm sure they had like millions of submissions, and then I got chosen to, you know, to be able to buy tickets, and then I actually got really good tickets. And, you know, it's always exciting when things like that happen, because I'm like, oh, I could probably hit someone up to help me get a ticket buy, but no, I like went in as a fan. Like I almost like forgot for a second that I worked in music, and like that we know all these agents and people that can technically help us buy a ticket. I was like just in line with everyone else, and those moments are so precious and so valuable.
I think like one of the most like just like pure moments was when 2016 was kind of a crazy year where like there was a few key albums where you had to like download an app to listen to the album. Like my friend Gabe, who was a bigger Frank Ocean fan than I was, I don't know why he didn't get Apple Music for the 3 months. I had Apple Music, and just the fact that I had Apple Music for Blonde, I felt like I was listening to something that like not everyone had access to, and it was this really special moment. the fact that everyone downloaded Tidal to listen to Life of Pablo like a few months before that is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, that like you kind of like download an app for that. So like went #1 on the App Store for an album, you know. So I think those stories are you know, I think it was a time, like that was right around the time that you started at AWOL. It sounds like you started like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, things where Spotify was still like not at the top, and there was these new things crystallizing. I think we're kind of on the other end of that, and now we're all searching for what's next.
New mediums, yeah.
New mediums. But yeah, that feeling of having something exclusively, having to go as far as downloading an app for an album was a crazy feeling, and it felt so cool. I'm searching for that feeling, to be honest.
I mean, nowadays, one of the few times that I personally get those feelings is like when you receive unreleased music from an artist. That's amazing. You know, like receiving their album early or receiving their album.
What was the last one that you felt that way?
The last one that I felt that way was actually listening to the Henry Solomon one before it came out. So Henry Solomon, awesome artist, like jazz musician. He just released a project exclusively on Untitled, I think for a week before it comes out on streaming. And we had it before because obviously we were working with him on that release. So I was able to get it, and it felt very special. You know, I felt like I knew very few people in the world had it, and it was awesome. And it felt like, yeah, it's almost like a currency in some ways.
I think we can take questions. I'm like looking for the person. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Kelley.
Thank you, Kelley.
Thank you, Kelley.
Thank you, Lau.
Thank you, Kelley.
We
Thank
have-
you, Lau.
We have about 8 minutes for questions, if anyone wants to raise their hand. Okay, I know you, but
Thank you guys so much for giving this discussion. It's super interesting to hear all your perspectives. My question, yeah. Hey guys. My question is more about this post-streaming idea. I'm thinking also specifically with the context of Nina Protocol shutting down recently. I'm curious how you guys are making money as a business, how you're sustaining that, and then also, how do you help artists make money? You know, the context of post-streaming, this is still a major way that people are making revenue. Thinking also of your question to Kelley, Dan, about maybe labels getting off of streaming in favor of other alternatives as well. Yeah.
Well, on the Untitled front, our business models, we have a subscription. So it's either a monthly or yearly subscription where you pay $7.99 a month or $50 a year. And our vision really is to just have a very simple subscription that gives a suite of tooling for artists. Like, we really care about building amazing tools for artists offered in one simple subscription. So that's, you know, where the paid project feature comes in. We don't take a cut from the artist. All an artist needs is a subscription to Untitled to use that feature, and then we take 5% on the fan side. Yeah.
True Panther. We try to do everything. We make, produce vinyl, CDs, even cassettes now. We get a lot of very good sync opportunities in film and TV. And like, how else do we make music? Bandcamp, Untitled, things like Nina. And we do like random small things like merch, or we make these like little flexi discs that we send out as unreleased tracks that are only available on a flexi before they come out, and those people buy, and yeah.
Is a flexi just like a CD?
It's you can play it on a record player, but it's like made of plastic and it's flexible. Oh. And it fits one song, and it's like cool. It's like a cute little collector item.
You share this with fans before?
Yeah. You can't really rip it because the quality is kind of bad. But it's like you can have it in different colors. It just like is a nice, very kind of analog thing that I think only 2 printers in the world still make them. And so we do that. I don't know if we make money on them profitably, but we did like making them. Oh, yeah. Oh, Lau?
I think for us, we are really proud to say we really are the best at physical distribution. Like, we have the best relationships with record shops around the world. And to your point about like every penny counting, like we have, I mean, I think about this moment. I hadn't gone back to Peru for 5 years, and I went back and I went to my favorite coffee shop, and they were playing Crumbin, Bon Iver. They literally, I mean, it was clearly like a user-generated playlist that they were using at the coffee shop, but like I'd say like 3/4 of that playlist were secretly artists, and that to me is like, damn, like we really are doing it at a global scale and at a global level, you know? And that's where like the holistic thing is just so important, and like making sure every territory counts.
Do you have your own merch manufacturers, or do you work with external?
Both, but we do own our own physical plant
Oh, wow.
in New Jersey, yeah.
Oh, also for
And
vinyl?
for vinyl, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we have like a 100,000 square foot warehouse in Bloomington, Indiana, where the label was started. Yeah, secretly is interesting too, because a lot of companies have kind of like been bought out by majors, and there's a lot of like top to bottom, I don't know, just like top down energy right now in the music world and in the art world, just in the arts. We've kind of grown like the opposite way. Like we're so pro-competitive in the way that it was first Secretly Canadian, and Ben and Chris, who started Secretly Canadian, partnered with Darius from Jack Jaguar and helped Darius get into record shops, and then Dead Oceans came about. And then we also distribute 70 labels like Father Daughter, Capture Tracks, Windspear, Revenge. And so it's created this beautiful, Numero Group was a distributed label for a long time. They're not direct partners. Last year we acquired 50% of Merge Records. We have our hands, people are like, secretly is very secretly, because we do have our hands in a lot of different parts of independent music. We've even invested in O'Mary, a really important play in New York. Yeah, we've just had our hands, again, in almost counterculturally of what's happening right now, where a lot of things are just like being like mega like put into one thing, mega funneled. Like we're more like, I don't know, I feel like spread out in terms of making, I don't know, there's so much within the secretly like universe, there's so much independent thought and independent leadership, which is really special nowadays.
This might be a conversation for another day, but I'm curious at what point to secretly just be considered a major, because you have like all these labels.
People always say
all
we're the
these
major
different-
indie. I think we're just like anti the word major because of what it represents.
It's like you look
but
at
we're,
Universal and you
know,
also
we're
have a bunch of imprints.
we're an indie major conglomerate. You know, yeah. I'll keep it at that. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure the partners have been, you know, again, they've fought to create this beautiful web of pro-competitiveness in terms of like, you know, there's so many times where a record gets sent to us and we're like, it might not be the right thing for Secretly Group, but what if we send it to Ghostly, who's, you know, like we just have this really amazing approach of all kind of fighting for independent thought and independent business, and it's rare nowadays.
I think it's amazing. I mean, True Panther is 4 people, so we are still very, like, kicking it. We're just trying to survive.
And you guys are
the
crushing
goal
it.
is to, you know, to grow and to become to continue to grow. Okay, you in the front, yeah.
Hello. Very interesting. Sorry. Very interesting talk. A lot of great insights. Thank you so much for that. My question was more like, I mean, one of the bigger challenges that we have as artists when it comes to streaming is, there's a lot of audience that is very passive in general. I mean, even if you have like tens or hundreds of thousands of listeners, there's a term for it called playlistification, you know, where like you just basically like a name and like a massive playlist, which might have a lot of listeners, but nobody really engages with you or really follows you as an artist. So, and that's why like post-streaming is super interesting, because streaming has actually hit that like saturation point, especially for artists who are trying to find new audiences. And how does, like, my question is, how does going direct, is there a potential of finding new audience while going direct? Or is it just for the audience that already engages with you? Yeah, thank you.
Whoa, that's a great question.
Totally. I mean, if you're on a platform like Untitled or Bandcamp, someone is buying your music, I feel like that is a very huge win. It's like getting someone to spend $8 or $10 is already, you've already gotten half of the way there. And like maybe the next step is like getting them to a show or, yeah.
It also makes me think about artist communities. Like I feel like, you know, we live in a time where that also plays such significant value. Like, you know, going direct and having your music live in different places can also mean forming a community. I mean, I think, you know, it's just like, it's more at reach than ever for an artist to find a community of artists around them. And I think the sum will always be bigger than its parts that way. And you see it all the time. I mean, the scene in Spain right now is buzzing. Like, I feel like, you know, all these incredible artists from Madrid, like Nusar and
Copenhagen.
yeah, Copenhagen, like obviously they all make different kinds of music, and I'm sure like if you were to deconstruct the data, like they all have different fans and sit in different spaces, but at the same time, like you see how much potency and strength there is in like growing as a community, and I think that's where the directness is invaluable.
I guess that's what you were saying about the cosign.
Yeah.
It's like nowadays there's like just so much noise, and the more you're affiliated with other people that other people are following, the better off you are.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
My question is for Untitled, and I wanted to ask do you have a plan how to help new artists or independent artists promote their music? Because some new artists or independent means that they are literally just them and they don't have the money to promote themselves more broadly. Is there a way that you plan on helping them if they choose to go only Untitled and release everything on Untitled to help them be discovered?
Untitled brackets.
Well, you say untitled out loud,
Yeah.
and then it's untitled in brackets.
No, I'm saying like Untitled Network brackets.
Oh yeah, I was talking about Untitled.
Oh,
no,
broadcast.
sorry, broadcast,
Oh,
not
yeah.
brackets, broadcast. I mean, like you should talk about that
Yeah.
a little bit.
Well,
I do.
wait,
like
you should finish your question. Sorry.
Yeah, so my question was, is when you are creating this all-rounded platform that can be used for like everything an artist needs, is there something that you've thought of that will help really independent new artists try to go up and have more visibility?
Hey, getting discovered.
Yeah, getting discovered.
So, and it actually goes back to your question. So his question at the end, there's like a couple parts that really were impactful, but at the end you kind of said like, can you go direct while not just going to the audience that the artist already has on Instagram or whatever? And right now with Untitled, like if you wanted to sell your music or even share it for free, we're gonna tell you like, hey, you need to rely on your existing audience to get there. Like we're not, you know, a discovery platform. A little bit with the Untitled Broadcast Network, you know, it's this kind of like freeing media channel that we did on Instagram and we're kind of experimenting on, but it's very small scale. Like, you know, we wouldn't be able to say right now that that's gonna, you know, necessarily move the needle yet. Hopefully one day it does. Really where your question and your question kind of come into is like, you know, would Untitled ever get into the game of discovery, curation? You know, you get onto the Untitled app and you see something that you didn't intentionally add to your library, which is a very, very thorny, interesting, intellectually stimulating question, and something that like we have for 6 years put on a shelf, and we've been waiting for the right moment to potentially explore that. And every time we have thought it was the right moment, multiple times over the last 6 years, we come to the hero's journey, like, you know, full circle of like, all right, let's not do that, because like we don't want to get into the business of, because you know, you start off with like staff picks and curation, things like that, and then it can tumble into, you know, Spotify, you know, or SoundCloud, and then people are like, wait, is Untitled a place where I can listen to the things that I want to listen to, or are you telling me what to listen to, things like that? That being said, we do have something that we're very, very, very excited about, and to use Kelley's word of cosign, I think that word actually rings kind of interesting, like kind of when you were going on SoundCloud back in the day, and you were rabbit holing through like, who do you listen to? Who, you know, who does this person like? Who does this person? Kind of how you were saying that you do with
On
Spotify
yeah.
playlists. Mm-hmm. We're thinking that there's a world in which you can put your music up on Untitled, and people can sort of follow that profile or whatever, And then you can go on that profile and see what profiles that profile follows and things like that. And possibly for the very intentional music listener, for the person that's very curious, they'll stumble upon a new artist that way. But that's why also with the Spotify thing, like I think like Spotify right now has kind of risen to the top and now is receiving a lot of negativity. They used to be the hero and now, you know, they stayed alive long enough to be the villain. I think that it's really all about balance. Like I think a place like Spotify, which is like hyper discovery, hyper scale, will always need to have a place in this ecosystem. And it used to be radio, you know, like hyper scale back in the day, and maybe Spotify democratized it a little bit more. Now we need to balance it out with things like Untitled. We'll see what that looks like what's the next Spotify, and how much of that balancing out needs to happen. As far as Untitled taking over, you know, the complete radio, hyperscale, hyper distribution piece of it, I don't think we're fully focused on that in the next couple of years, but we're planning on building a, you know, lifelong music company. So at some point we might have to put our hand in it.
I think there's something that happens a lot in music that oftentimes doesn't happen as much in technology, which is people in music tend to have like a zero-sum mentality, which is like someone loses, someone wins. You know, if Untitled wins, I mean Spotify is losing, where we like to see things as like not zero-sum. And so we see very much a world where Spotify is winning and it has its role in the ecosystem, and Untitled is winning and has its role in the ecosystem. Maybe there's another platform that we're not thinking of yet that might have that. But there's a world for everyone to win, because there's a world that, you know, artists have different ways that they want to express themselves and different needs. So like everything is necessary.
Okay.
Thank you.
In the back.
Hello, thank you guys. I wanted to ask, you already touched on this point a little bit before. Basically, I want to ask about the fragmentation of attention of people. Let's say the masses now are consuming on the major streaming platforms like Apple Music and Spotify. And for me as a producer, musician, I always find myself trying to find the best medium on which to distribute my music and get across to people, you know. But the problem that I'm finding is that there's just way too many mediums. There's way too much offer. Every medium offers different things, different perks, different you know, benefits and all that. But I reckon ultimately I have to end up like distributing for artists that I work with and myself on Spotify, because that's where people like majorly consume. So now you're talking, for example, about like every place or every medium has a space for itself in the market, you know, but like, are they really sustainable if the masses are not like in there, you know, spending money, buying for an artist, and that sort of thing? Yeah.
I think that's where real development and like, again, having like a strong team that doesn't think about a quick fix or a quick win, but rather the bigger kind of overarching goals. I mean, we see that all the time, right? Like there's artists that like, I mean, I always feel bad when an artist nowadays, if an artist has like, let's say a TikTok hit, okay, let's say they sell out like a big venue and then people are on their phones the whole show, and then just for that one song they know are engaged, and like, you know, I think that's kind of like, at least Kelley and I, like the opposite of what we want our artists to be known for. And I think a lot of it comes from like that foundation. I think continuity and making sure that you're like thinking 3 steps ahead in terms of like sustainable growth rather than like a quick win is just more important than ever.
I think it's very similar to, I mean, we've talked a lot about this when it comes to like even releasing an app. Like think about how many apps there are in the world, right? Like how do you break the noise to actually get people to pay attention to what you're doing and downloading it in the same way that how do you get people to pay attention to your music and listen to your music? And for us, you know, since the beginning was always like, just focus on building an amazing product. And if you make it something amazing, it will cut through the noise. And that's what's happened with Untitled. Most of our growth has been organic. And I think with music, it's the same thing. You know, if you just focus, which is I guess what you're saying, Lau, if you just focus on making something great and trust that if you're making something great that you really want to see out in the world, like it will get the attention it needs. I know it's kind of like a hard way to answer that, a cop-out answer, but.
Yeah, continuity, and also live shows. I mean, nothing will beat live music. Like, it's like, none of us are in the live music side of the business, but like, you know, I think, you know, there's a lot of answers in it, in the way, again, fans engage with their audiences and fans show up for them.
Yeah, I think that, I agree, there's so many mediums. I think the goal or the ideal is you have to do all of them at the beginning, and then you reach a point where you can pick and choose. But unfortunately, from the bottom, it's like you have no choice. This is just what it looks like now, unfortunately. But I think there are also a lot more tools to help you. So,
and you can think about a medium as a new opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a new opportunity for exposure, for a fan finding you. I think it's in the way that when Instagram was a new thing, people were like, what is this? Obviously I don't know, we're not Gen Zs, we're not on TikTok, but and people like to hate on TikTok, but at the same time, it's just another medium for video, audiovisual content to be generated and shared around. And that's, if you view it that way, then maybe, I don't know, it becomes a little bit less daunting to look into.
Okay, we're done, but one word describing how you're feeling right now about the panel. So.
Optimistic.
Inspired.
Grateful.
Wait, Kelley, you have to
your
give a
word.
word.
Good. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you.